In a world where elves rule magic through ancient bloodlines, humans are seen as weak and unworthy. Lord Thaddeus Ravencraftoft, a human noble with rare magical talent, attends an elven solstice ball and unexpectedly connects with Lady Elindra Moonshadow, a powerful elven mage trapped by family duty. Their bond reveals a secret: human magic, fueled by intense emotions, can challenge the centuries-old elven dominance. As the elves accuse Thaddeus of corrupting their sacred magic, he faces a dangerous duel that will decide not just his fate, but the future of magic and freedom for all. The story is full of tension, secrets, and defiance. It shows how courage and new ideas can break the strongest chains of tradition. Emotions run high as alliances shift, battles rage, and the impossible becomes real. Amber light spilled through the tall windows of Mistwood Manor, casting fractured patterns across the polished floor. Lord Thaddeus Ravencraftoft stood in the grand ballroom, his formal jacket feeling loose and unfamiliar on his shoulders. The garment was a hand-me-down, hastily tailored for tonight's event, the Elven High Society's Grand Solstice Ball. Around him, elves glided past, their flowing robes shimmering with the soft glow of centuries-old magic woven into their fabric. Thaddeus felt out of place. Humans were rare guests here, usually invited as a polite formality, often more for amusement than respect. Their blunt fingers and imperfect manners were a source of quiet jokes whispered behind raised fans. But tonight, his amber eyes, so close to elven gold yet unmistakably human, drew more than just whispers. As he crossed the threshold, a crystal flute filled with sparkling elven wine was placed in his hand by a servant who bowed with perfect grace. Thaddeus accepted it with a small smile. "Thank you. Though I suspect Lord Mistwood has motives beyond mere hospitality," he said quietly. The servant's eyes flickered with something almost like knowing before his mask returned. "In all households, my lord." Thaddeus took a sip of the wine. It was sweeter than he preferred but layered with complex flavors that spoke of long aging and magic. Even the wine seemed designed to remind humans of their place, centuries in the making. Suddenly, the room hushed. Lady Elindra Moonshadow stepped onto a raised platform. Her silver-white hair fell in elaborate braids, and her midnight blue gown shimmered with woven threads of moonlight. She raised her fingers over a harp made of pale wood, the strings glowing faintly as she began to play. But this was no ordinary music. The notes bent the air itself, rippling with subtle magic. Thaddeus watched closely as her fingers didn't just pluck strings, they pulled pure magical energy from them, shaping the room's atmosphere. This was emotional essence drawing, a rare and ancient technique. Her eyes found his for a brief moment, silver blue meeting amber, sending a chill of recognition through him. The music swelled, filling the ballroom with a warm glow that seemed to touch the hearts of every listener. Beside him, Lord Ender Mistwood whispered, an exquisite manipulation of essence fields. Most humans wouldn't even feel it. Thaddeus nodded. "I feel it well enough." Mistwood studied him curiously. "Your eyes are unusual for your kind." "A family trait from my mother's side," Thaddeus replied, meeting the elf's gaze steadily. "How many human bloodlines do you recall at all, my lord?" Mistwood laughed softly, the sound like water over smooth stones. "Touché, Lord Ravencraftoft. Perhaps tonight will be less tedious than I feared." As the music ended, the formal dances began. Thaddeus stayed on the edge, watching as elves moved with grace, their steps weaving magic through the room. A young elven noblewoman approached him. "You're not joining the dance, Lord Ravencraftoft." "I fear my clumsy human feet would disrupt the magical harmonies," he answered. "Nonsense. Even the servants join." "I will partner with you, though I warn you, I will leave when the essence weaving begins." Before he could decline, she took his arm and pulled him into the circle. The dance started simply, steps and turns even a human could follow. Thaddeus focused on his feet and the rhythm, careful not to stumble. When partners shifted, he found himself face to face with Lady Elindra Moonshadow. "Lord Ravencraftoft," she said, taking his hands, the human with amber eyes. "Lady Moonshadow," he replied. The elf with human expressions. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. Bold words. "Your face reveals more than is customary among your kind." "And yours less than among yours," he countered with a small smile. Their hands held firm as they moved in a circle. Thaddeus felt her essence probing his, not with suspicion, but curiosity. "Perhaps I find your customs fascinating," he said softly. "Perhaps I find your kind's weaknesses fascinating," she shot back, eyes glittering. As the music reached a crescendo, all dancers joined hands to form the magical circle. Elven magic surged through their joined palms, creating shimmering threads of energy that rose into the air. Thaddeus braced himself. His own magic was weak, a secret carefully guarded. He expected to be the dark spot in the radiant circle. But when Lady Elindra's hand met his, their essences did not clash. They harmonized. A bright amber gold thread of power sprang from their joined hands, stronger, clearer than any human or elf had seen. Gasps filled the ballroom. The magic between them pulsed, outshining every other connection. Elindra's silver eyes locked on his, wide with shock and recognition. The music stopped abruptly. The glowing threads faded, except for the golden link between them, lingering a moment longer. Thaddeus bowed low. "Forgive me, Lady Moonshadow. It seems my human clumsiness has disrupted your ritual." She curtsied, her voice steady. "No disruption, Lord Ravencraftoft. Merely unexpected harmony." From the edge of the dance floor, Archmagister Failure and Nightshade watched with cold, unreadable eyes. The temperature around him seemed to drop. Thaddeus stepped back, heart pounding. He had revealed more than he intended. Too much. The midnight feast began, and guests moved toward the dining hall. Thaddeus found a seat far from the nobility, a reminder of his place. From there, he saw Lady Elindra in intense conversation with her brother, Lord Cylindral Moonshadow. Their words were silent but their body language told of sharp disagreement. When she suddenly rose and left, her path led not into the manor, but toward the gardens. Thaddeus followed, carrying 2 glasses of glowing wine for cover. The gardens were alive with magic, plants shifting in shape and color as if aware of the emotions nearby. He found Elindra kneeling beside a pool, tracing glowing runes on the water's surface. She was performing an unbinding ritual, one designed to sever magical contracts. "You're missing the 3rd anchor point," he said softly. She spun, a crackle of magic at her fingertips. "How does a human noble know this ritual?" "From observation and study," he said. "And from knowing what you were doing with the harp earlier." She eyed him suspiciously but did not retreat. He showed her an alternate method, blending elven and human magic. Their essences mingled, flowing together in ways neither fully understood. Night after night, under the twin moons, they shared knowledge. Elven elegance met human passion. Rigid tradition met fearless innovation. "Emotion is magic," Thaddeus said. "It fuels power. Your people just try to control it." She frowned but listened. "You challenge everything we believe. I challenge only the limits they placed on us." Their hands found each other's, and their magical essences intertwined, glowing with combined strength. But their growing bond was dangerous. They both knew the high houses would fight to keep their power. As dawn touched the sky, they kissed, hope and rebellion in their hearts. A servant's gasp broke the moment. Elindra's handmaiden fled to warn the others. "Leave now," Elindra urged. "We fight," Thaddeus said, fierce and ready. They had lit a fire that could not be undone. The dawn air was cool as Thaddeus and Elindra hurried through the winding paths of the Mistwood Gardens. The ancient plants shifted and shimmered around them, their leaves and petals responding to the tension in the air. Magic stirred in every corner, whispering of change and danger. Elindra's face was pale but determined. "They will come for me first," she said softly. "Failure and Nightshade will want to stop this before it spreads." Thaddeus nodded. "And I will stand by you." We faced them together. She glanced at him, her silver eyes reflecting the first light of morning. "They hold centuries of power. Your human magic, even with our bond, may not be enough." "I'm not so sure," Thaddeus replied. "There is strength in what we share, strength they cannot predict." Behind them, shadows moved swiftly. The manor's guards had begun their search. Elindra quickened her pace. "The sky docks. My family keeps a vessel there, a ship powered by our magic. If we can reach it, we might escape." They crossed the garden's glowing arches, dodging patrols and weaving through shifting plants that seemed to hide them in plain sight. Thaddeus's heart raced, every step heavy with the weight of what was to come. Reaching the docks, they found sleek vessels tethered to ancient moorings. These ships floated not by engines, but by the pure magic of elven essence. It was said they needed the strength of 3 highborn family members to fly. Elindra pointed to one with silver-blue markings, the Moonshadow skimmer. I've never piloted it alone, she admitted. It requires multiple sources of essence. Then we combine ours, Thaddeus said, taking her hand. Their magical energies merged instantly, warm amber and cool silver weaving into a vibrant light. Elindra placed her hands on the ship's control crystals. Thaddeus covered hers with his. The crystals pulsed with the blend of their essences, glowing brighter and brighter. The moorings unlatched with a soft hum, and the ship lifted smoothly into the sky. As they rose above Mistwood Manor, the estate below was alive with chaos. Brilliant lights flared across the grounds. Magical energy surged from servants and lesser nobles awakening to powers long denied. Flowers bloomed out of season, stones floated, and water swirled in intricate patterns. From their vantage point, Thaddeus and Elindra watched the revolution they had ignited. This is only the beginning, Thaddeus said. The high houses will fight back, but knowledge can't be hidden forever. Elindra's voice was soft, full of awe. It's beautiful. And terrifying. The sky ship soared toward the horizon, leaving the fractured manor behind. Below, humans and elves alike began to cast spells for the first time, lights dancing in the air, small flames flickering, stones lifting gently. Magic was never meant to be chained, Thaddeus said, his eyes blazing with purpose. It belongs to all who believe. Elindra turned to him. Where do we go now? Everywhere, he said with a fierce smile. Every village, every town, every hidden community needs to know their true potential. The revolution of essence will not stop here. She nodded, strength returning to her eyes. Then let's make sure it spreads. But even as hope rose with the sun, shadows loomed. Back at the manor, Lord Cylindral Moonshadow seethed with fury. This insurrection will be crushed, he vowed, his voice cold and hard. No human or servant-born elf will defy the high houses. Archmagister Failure and Nightshade had not yet recovered from his defeat. The loss had shaken the foundations of their power. They unleashed something dangerous, Failure growled. A magic not bound by blood or tradition. Cylindral nodded grimly. Then we must tighten our control before it spreads further. The nobles began mobilizing, calling upon loyal forces to hunt down the rebels. Meanwhile, Thaddeus and Elindra sailed through the sky, planning their next moves. We must find allies, Thaddeus said. Those who have been hidden and oppressed by the old system. Together, we can build a force too strong to ignore. Elindra's eyes darkened with determination. And we must protect each other. The high houses will stop at nothing. Days passed as they traveled, seeking out forgotten communities, mixed-blood elves, humans with dormant magic, and servants hungry for change. In a small border village, a young woman lifted stones with ease, surprised by her own power. A group of half-elven children laughed as tiny lights flickered from their fingertips. Word spread quickly, magic was no longer the secret of the few. But with every new ally came danger. Spies and assassins tracked their movements, shadows in every corner. One night, as the sky ship hovered over a forest clearing, alarms rang out. Elindra's eyes snapped open. We're surrounded. Thaddeus moved quickly, weaving a protective barrier of shared essence around the ship. Figures cloaked in black advanced, elite enforcers of the high houses, skilled in ancient magics. The battle was fierce. Magic collided in brilliant bursts, silver-blue blades against amber flames, binding spells against raw will. Thaddeus and Elindra fought side by side, their combined power a dazzling force. But the attackers were relentless. One enforcer struck at Thaddeus, a spear of pure energy aimed at his heart. Elindra intercepted, taking the blow. Pain surged through her, but she held firm. We cannot fall, she whispered. With a cry, Thaddeus unleashed a surge of essence that blasted the attackers back. The clearing fell silent. Breathing heavily, Elindra looked at Thaddeus. This war has only just begun. He nodded. But together, we will change the world. As dawn broke over the horizon, the sky ship lifted once more, carrying the rebels toward an uncertain future, hopeful, defiant, and ready to fight. The sky ship moved swiftly through the early morning mist, leaving behind the forest clearing where their fierce battle had taken place. Thaddeus and Elindra stood side by side on the open deck, the wind tugging at their cloaks, their faces marked by exhaustion and determination. Elindra's silver-blue eyes were sharp, scanning the horizon. We cannot let the high houses corner us like prey, she said. Their forces grow stronger every day. Thaddeus nodded, feeling the weight of their mission pressing down on him. We need allies who can match their power, and more importantly, who believe in change. They spoke quietly as the ship sailed above the patchwork of forests, villages, and towns below. The kingdom was vast, filled with hidden pockets of magic and secret hope. At the heart of their plan was a simple truth: magic was not the exclusive right of the elite. It belonged to all who dared to wield it. Days later, they landed in the border city of Haven Reach, a place long ignored by the high houses but home to a diverse mix of humans and elves. The city's narrow streets buzzed with whispered rumors of rebellion and awakening magic. Their arrival did not go unnoticed. A crowd gathered quickly, curious faces, cautious but eager. Among them were the servant-born elves, those cast out from noble families, and humans who had been told their magic was a lie. Elindra stepped forward. "You are not weak," she said, her voice clear and commanding. "Your magic is real and powerful. Together, we can build a future where no one is held back." Thaddeus added, "We will teach you to harness your essence. To rise beyond the chains of blood and tradition." The crowd's murmur grew to a roar of hope. Work began immediately. In the city's old temple, Thaddeus and Elindra led lessons in magical theory and practice. They shared knowledge from ancient elven texts and human innovations, blending traditions into a new path. Slowly, the people's magic grew stronger. Flames danced from fingertips, stones lifted with ease, healing like mended wounds. But with growth came fear. Agents of the high houses slipped into the city like shadows, spreading doubt and fear. "This is dangerous," they whispered. "Rebellion will bring ruin." One night, as the city slept under a silver moon, a sudden attack shattered the peace. Flames erupted from buildings. Arrows flew through windows. Screams echoed through the streets. Thaddeus and Elindra rushed into the chaos. The high house enforcers had come to crush the rebellion before it could spread. The battle was brutal. Thaddeus weaved protective shields of amber and silver light, deflecting spells and arrows alike. Elindra moved like a shadow, her magic slicing through the attackers with fierce precision. But the enemy was relentless. They knew the city's streets, the hidden alleys and secret passages. Amidst the fighting, Elindra was struck by a dark spell, collapsing to the ground. Thaddeus caught her just in time. "Stay with me," he whispered, channeling healing magic through his hands. Her eyes fluttered open, filled with pain but also fierce resolve. "We cannot lose," she said. The rebels rallied, pushing the invaders back into the night. As dawn broke, the city lay battered but alive. The people gathered, their faces tired but proud. Thaddeus addressed them. "This is only the beginning. The high houses will send armies, spies, and assassins. But our magic, our will not be broken." Elindra stood beside him, her strength renewed. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone silenced by centuries of lies." Word of the rebellion spread quickly. Small groups across the kingdom began awakening to their own powers, inspired by the courage of Haven Reach. Back in Mistwood Manor, the high houses grew desperate. Lord Cylindral Moonshadow summoned a council of nobles. "The rebellion spreads like wildfire," he warned. "We must act decisively." Archmagister Failure Nightshade, recovering from his defeat, spoke with cold certainty. "We will root out the rebels and crush their magic. We cannot allow this threat to grow." Plans were made to tighten control, increase patrols, and imprison those who dared defy the ancient laws. But not all elves agreed. In the shadows, younger nobles whispered of change and hope. Some began to question the rigid caste system that had ruled their lives for centuries. Thaddeus and Elindra continued their journey, moving from town to town, gathering supporters and teaching the new ways of magic. Each victory was small but meaningful. One night, in a hidden forest glade, they met a group of mixed heritage elves who had been living in fear for decades. Their magic was raw and untamed, but with guidance, it blossomed into powerful light. The rebels shared stories of oppression and loss, but also of secret strength and dreams for freedom. As the days turned to weeks, the revolution of essence grew stronger. But with strength came sacrifice. Thaddeus found himself haunted by the faces of those lost in battle, the price of change heavy on his soul. Elindra, too, carried the weight of her family's betrayal and the danger looming over those she loved. Yet their bond remained unbreakable, their combined essence a beacon of hope. One evening, beneath a sky filled with stars, Elindra spoke quietly. The high houses will never surrender easily. No, Thaddeus agreed. But neither will we. As the wind whispered through the trees, they prepared for the battles yet to come, battles that would decide the fate of magic, freedom, and the future of their world. The rebellion's fire burned brighter with each passing day, but so did the dangers. Thaddeus and Elindra's footsteps echoed through forgotten halls and hidden sanctuaries as they sought out new allies. The kingdom was vast, and every corner held secrets, some hopeful, some deadly. One evening, in a crumbling fortress deep within the ancient forest of Airwood, they met a small band of elves who had rejected the high houses. These outcasts called themselves the Verdant Circle. Their magic was wild but vibrant, tied to nature itself rather than noble bloodlines. Thaddeus studied their glowing tattoos, runes carved into skin with living sap. Your power comes from the land, he said. It is different, but it is no less real. Elindra smiled softly. All magic flows from essence. Whether from blood, emotion, or earth, it belongs to those who honor it. The Verdant Circle welcomed the rebels warmly. They taught Thaddeus and Elindra to blend their own magic with the forest's life force, growing vines, summoning animals, shaping earth. This will be useful, Thaddeus said, feeling the energy pulse through his veins. But news from Mistwood Manor was grim. Lord Cylindral Moonshadow's forces had crushed several smaller rebel groups, imprisoning many and executing others as traitors. Failure and Nightshade had recovered fully and was leading brutal campaigns to snuff out the uprising. You're reckless, Cylindral sneered in a private message sent through magical means. You threaten the very order that holds our world together. Thaddeus's reply was firm. The order you protect is built on lies and fear. We fight for truth and freedom. The words were a challenge that echoed across the kingdom. Weeks later, at the city of Blackwater, the rebels faced their greatest test yet. Failurin's forces arrived in full, a wave of magic and steel designed to overwhelm. The city's walls shook under spells, firestorms raged through the streets, and cries of battle filled the air. Thaddeus and Elindra stood at the front lines, weaving complex spells with their allies. The combined essence of humans, elves, and Verdant Circle magic forged a shield that shimmered like dawn. Elindra's voice rang clear above the chaos. Hold the line. Together, our magic is unstoppable. But Failurin was relentless. He summoned storms of energy, twisting essence into weapons of destruction. The battle stretched for days, draining both sides. In a desperate moment, Elindra was caught in a binding spell, held fast by chains of glowing silver light. Her strength waned. Thaddeus surged forward, channeling all his will through the network of magic they had built. The amber light flared around him, reaching into the bindings, loosening them with raw emotion and determination. Come back to me, he urged. With a final pulse, the chains shattered. Elindra collapsed into his arms, breathless but alive. The rebels rallied and pushed Failurin's forces back. The city stood, battered but unbroken. Victory was theirs, but costly. The price was high, friends lost, homes destroyed, and the kingdom's old power shaken. In the aftermath, the rebels gathered in the city square, faces tired but eyes burning with resolve. Thaddeus addressed them. We have shown that the old ways can be broken. Magic belongs to all, not just the privileged. Elindra stepped forward. The high houses will not surrender. They will fight with everything they have. But so will we, Thaddeus said. This is our moment to reshape the future. As the crowd cheered, a shadow moved at the edge of the gathering. Cylindral Moonshadow appeared, flanked by guards. His expression was cold but controlled. I offer you a choice, he said, voice carrying through the square. Surrender now, and mercy may be granted. Thaddeus met his gaze without fear. Mercy is earned, not demanded. We will never bow to tyranny. Cylindral's eyes narrowed. Then prepare for war. The word settled like a storm on the horizon. In the days that followed, both sides prepared. The high houses marshaled their armies, while the rebels forged alliances and trained their newfound magic. Elindra and Thaddeus spent long nights strategizing and strengthening their bond. Their magical essences intertwined more deeply, creating a powerful connection that few could understand. One evening, as they sat beneath the stars, Elindra whispered, "Whatever comes, we face it together." Thaddeus took her hand, amber and silver light glowing softly between their fingers. Together. The rebellion was no longer just a spark, it was a wildfire. A battle for freedom, for truth, for a world where magic belonged to all who dared to claim it. The morning of the final battle dawned cold and grey. Mistwood Manor, once a symbol of elven tradition and power, now stood surrounded by the forces of the high houses, ready to crush the rebellion once and for all. Thaddeus and Elindra stood on the raised platform overlooking the gathered armies. Their combined magical essence radiated as a beacon of hope and defiance. Around them were humans, elves of every rank, and members of the Verdant Circle, united by a dream of freedom. Lord Cylindral Moonshadow and Archmagister Failurin Nightshade led the opposing forces, their faces hard with resolve. This fight was not only for power, but for the future of magic itself. Today, Thaddeus spoke, voice steady and clear, "We break the chains that bound us. No longer will magic be a weapon of control and fear. It belongs to all who believe in it, no matter their blood." A roar rose from the rebels. Elindra's silver eyes met his, filled with fierce determination. "We fight for truth. For freedom. For a future where all essences flow freely." The battle began with a surge of magic that tore through the sky. The high houses unleashed centuries of refined power, blades of starlight, binding spells, elemental storms. But the rebels answered with something new, magic fueled by raw emotion, by unity, by the hope of millions long silenced. Thaddeus and Elindra led the charge, their essences merging into a brilliant storm of amber and silver light that cut through enemy lines. Together, they wove spells that shattered ancient bindings and healed wounded allies. The fighting was fierce and desperate. Friends fell, heroes rose, and magic flared in dazzling bursts across the battlefield. Amidst the chaos, Failure and Nightshade confronted Thaddeus. Their essences clashed like crashing waves, pure power against raw will. Failurin's armor glowed with ancestral runes, but Thaddeus's spirit burned brighter. With a final surge, Thaddeus channeled the collective essence of the rebels, breaking Failurin's defenses. The Archmagister fell to his knees, defeated. Cylindral Moonshadow's face twisted with rage and disbelief. He summoned all his remaining power in a last attempt to crush the rebellion. But Elindra stepped forward, her voice ringing out like a silver bell. "Your time is over. The truth cannot be denied." She unleashed a spell that bound Cylindral's magic, breaking the chains that had held the kingdom captive for centuries. The battlefield fell silent. Victory was theirs. In the days that followed, a new era dawned. The old laws were rewritten, and magic became a force for all peoples, no longer the privilege of a select few. Thaddeus and Elindra worked tirelessly to build a world where essence flowed freely, where emotions and will shape destiny as much as blood. Their bond, forged in battle and hope, became a symbol of unity between humans and elves. As they stood together beneath the rising sun, their hands clasped and their essences entwined, Thaddeus smiled. "This is only the beginning," he said. Elindra nodded, her eyes shining with promise. A future where magic and freedom rise as one. The revolution of essence had changed everything. And nothing would ever be the same again.